Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Apollo Racing Club. My name is Matt McAdams. I'll be your host this evening. Adam is going to be out, so we'll be running this together once again with just me in the commentary booth, and I am looking forward to it. This week we're going to be at Zolder. It's looking like we're going to have a little bit higher turnout this week as well on top of that, so we should have a pretty exciting race for us. Before I get too much further, I do want to thank Grid Finder. They are kind enough to partner with us. We are an official league on Grid Finder. Go ahead and look them up at gridfinder.com and get your sim racing career started today. And actually, personally, I have benefited from using Grid Finder. Just earlier this morning, I was a part of casting an 8-hour endurance race with a league based out of the European Union. And they're also a Grid Finder league. So really, it works. Go try it. If you are short on leagues to drive in or just looking for a different league to fit your schedule a little bit better, they're going to be the folks that are going to get you hooked up. We're wrapping up free practice right now. We just hit the 0 count here, and we're going to get right into qualifying. So I'm just going to wait to move the cameras over until we have that ready to go. Should be any minute. We're just waiting for the last couple of folks to wrap up their laps. But yeah, Zolder. It is a little bit of a mess of a track. And I say that just because it's difficult and there's a lot of places that you can get tripped up. It's very well known for a couple of chicanes that it has, because you basically pretend they're not there, and that's the fast line through there. Before we get too deep into qualifying, which we just started here, never mind, we'll talk about that on the starting grid. So let me go ahead and get us over to the race here. All right. Get my mouse back out. There we go. All right. So we are in qualifying, and Fred Forsberg is going out. Okay, he realized what he did. I was going to say. All right. Okay. So let me hop over to the number 7 car, Brandon Gobes, and we are going to get quali started off. Reminder for anybody who is new here at Apollo Racing Club, we do basically two qualifyings in one. So we have the amateur and pro splits. The amateurs will be allowed out onto track before anybody else is allowed to do their qualifying laps. They've got 10 minutes to do so. Once the 10 minutes has lapsed, the amateur drivers must either finish their lap if they're on a hot lap or return to the pits. And that is when the pros will be allowed out onto the track to begin their 10 minutes of qualifying. Right now, we're just letting them get their cold laps out of the way while everybody gets their tires up to temperature and ready to go. And we're going to hang out with Brandon Gobes here in the Audi, just because he'll be the first one to start a hot lap. I guess I can take this opportunity to very quickly go over some of the standings in the amateur grid. Let me get that pulled up. And actually, just as I pull it up, he's getting ready to start his hot lap. We will talk standings at one point. I swear it. But Brandon Gobes is getting ready to start the first hot lap of the amateur split. And there is start-finish line, and he's got a Porsche right behind him. That is going to be Alan Zhu right behind him. Audi's going to be a tricky car around this track. There are a couple of chicanes that have curbs, and if you've ever driven the Audi in this game, you know that it does not agree with curbs. So he's going to have an especially hard time coming around the chicane here. But I really don't have much to say about the lap yet, other than it was a little bit wide on the exit there. But he'll need a little bit before we get any hot laps across the start-finish line so we can start to get an idea of what the pace is going to look like in the amateur split. I really like that camera angle. We'll be seeing a lot of it today, and I'm looking forward to it. But that is the first chicane back there. It has a pretty vicious bump in it, but the line is to just kind of skip it. We can see right here they take a lot of the curb, basically use all of that rumble strip on the inside to make that chicane as straight a line as possible. And Brandon Gobes actually has a little bit of pressure behind him from that Porsche of Alan Zhu, really keeping making sure he knows that he's still racing someone. All right, and we are coming up to the last two corners here. And we should have a pretty good idea of what the pace is going to look like. That Porsche and the Audi coming through at basically the same pace. Let's see what they put in to start off this qualifying. We've got a 131.8 out of Alan Zhu, that Porsche behind, and Brandon Gobes 8/10, almost 9/10 off, putting in a 132.6. And so it begins. Next hot lap to cross the start-finish line is going to be the number 43 car. That car belongs to Eric Mahoney, and that's going to be one of our Yoshi Autosport Nissan GTRs. And we actually have his teammate here as well. We were talking in practice just a little bit before the start here, but Eric Mahoney is going to come across the line with a 130.7, a second faster than Alan Zhu. And that is going to be a very strong start to qualifying for Eric here. Let's see, who's going to be our next hot lap? The number 98 car. Let's get panned over there. We got Eric Gottsacker. Another Ferrari in the mix, which is good to see. My favorite GT3 car at the moment. And he is going to cross the start-finish line here. Let's see what that looks like right there. And he is going to set a 133.0. And is going to be looking to improve here. Got Timmy Wilkins coming across the line right now. He's going to be our next hot lap to finish qualifying. He comes in third place with a 132.0. And then we got the 188 car coming across right now. And I'm not going to get there. We go. Alan Zhu comes across the line. Does not look like he improved on his previous quick lap. That one was a little bit slower. But he has a little bit of time, still has half of his allotted 10 minutes to get out there and try and improve on that. Number 40 car just started their hot lap, and we have one other coming across the line right now. Let's take a look at Joshua Kimball here in that Grid Finder Works Ferrari. And he is going to set a 133.0. Just 2/100, or no, a little bit more than that. It would be 12/100ths slower than Eric Gottsacker there. So we've got a little competition in the AMs. Like to see that. Pretty good spread in the times right now. We'll see if those tighten up with 4 minutes remaining in qualifying. See if we get faster times, or maybe we just get a little bit closer to where Eric Mahoney set that time at, because that is pretty quick based on practice paces we were seeing during free practice just a little bit ago. He will be competing with some of the pro drivers, but we've got number 98, Eric Gottsacker, is going to give it another try, coming across the start-finish line right there, and he does make a marginal improvement, putting in a 132.979, shaving 2/10 off of his previous Delta, but we got some crazy times getting ready to cross right now. Timmy Wilkins, 7/10 up on the Delta, 8/10 now, is going to post an improvement. Where is it going to put him? He is going to set a 131.26, putting him into second place with about a half-second margin. Alan Zhu is going to answer that by shaving a half-second off of his own lap, now just within a 10th of Timmy Wilkins. So we've got the top three pretty well established. Brandon Gobes going to put it back into the pits. But we've got Joshua Kimball coming around right now. He's going to take another stab at it. Currently 3/4 up on his previous best lap, which is going to be enough to move him up into 5th place. If he's able to hang on to it, we'll see what he pulls off as he crosses the start-finish line with, unfortunately, no improvement. He was just a couple hundredths off, so he's going to have another opportunity to get out there and set another lap. Take a look over at Timmy Wilkins right now, putting an improvement. Oh, and he got commentator's curse right there, running a little bit off the track as soon as I get over and start looking at him. And that did cost him quite a bit of time now, second down on his lap. But he does have time to get around the track and try and put in another one. Let's take a look at Eric Mahoney right now in the Yoshi Autosport Nissan GTR. Taking that nice what chicane line through there. You love to see it. Currently 2/10 up on the Delta. Looking like it's going to be a good lap for him. Okay, we just saw Timmy Wilkins cross the line. Oh, that's why he was down. It was an out lap. So that wasn't for anything. We also have number 40. Who's that going to be? That's going to be Fig Newton. Just crossing the line right now. Begins their qualifying lap. Do we have anybody getting ready to cross the start-finish line? Actually, did I miss that? No. Okay. Eric Mahoney apparently went faster, and I missed it. So he's done a 129.8 was his previous lap. Right now, he is 0.2 down. I don't think we'll see an improvement unless he pulls off some magic here on the exit of this couple of corners here. This lap is not going to be the one, but he does have a pretty commanding lead up in first place. Not sure how I missed that, folks. That's my bad. But we're going to take a look at Joshua Kimball here, just starting his next hot lap. Does post an improvement. Sets a 132.6 just a moment ago while we were watching Eric Mahoney over there. And he is currently now 0.2 up on the Delta. He is going to be chasing down Brandon Gobes. And he's going to have to go a little bit quicker if he's going to pull that off. But he is currently on track to improve his lap. Does not have to improve it very much. Needs to make a half-second improvement if Brandon Gobes just sticks with the lap time that he's got right now. And we'll see what he is be able to pull off. And one of our resident aliens says, I don't have tire pressures, as if him having the wrong tire pressures is going to slow him down at all. It's a good joke. But yes, that is unfortunate. So you've got 30 seconds left in the amateur splits qualifying time right now. Anybody who's out on a hot lap is going to want to get it done here pretty quick, because I don't think any of them, aside from maybe two, are going to have an opportunity to get out there and set any more flyers right now. Looks like Brandon Gobes actually is the one who is on the flyer right here in the Audi right now, 0.4 of a second up on his previous best lap, and it is going to be his last lap of qualifying based on where he is on the track, as the pros will now start to make their way out onto the track, and we'll see just how well that lap time by Eric Mahoney stands up to the test of the pros. But right now, Brandon Gobes is about to post an improvement of about a half a second. Indeed, he does get it in nice and clean for a 131.5, and that is going to be the last qualifying lap of the amateurs, with the exception of the two that managed to get in under the wire. But we are going to go ahead and take a peek over at our pros, currently being headed off by, I believe it is this car. It is that car. I can read numbers. Well, we've got Fred Forsberg out in the North Swed Racing Ferrari, leading off the pack of the pro drivers here, and probably the one we want out in front, because he had a very competitive qualifying pace, so we'll see how that holds up here. He's got a 129.8 to beat, and he's got 9 minutes to do it. The last of our amateurs getting ready to bring in their laps right now. Fig Newton, we're going to pan over to them. Cameras don't know where we're looking, but we do. Here we go. The Fig Newton and the Attempto Racing Audi. So we've got two Audis out on the track today, coming around the final two corners right now. Right now, a half second up on the previous best lap that they set. Let's see what they pull off coming across the start-finish line. And they do post an improvement of 0.6, setting a 136.000 right on the money. And they will need to stop the car and teleport back to the pits. Their qualifying session is over, and we're going to go back to Fred Forsberg out leading the pack of the pro drivers. And the hot lap begins. Let's go to the helicopter cam. We haven't been seeing enough of this today. Give me just 1 second here, folks. I am trying to pull up those standings while I've got a moment. Not a lot to be said right now. We're just basically watching and waiting to see what the pros are able to do. And now that most of them are on a hot lap, none of them have set a valid lap yet because they haven't had the opportunity. So it is going to be a minute until we have some results here. Let's see. Fred Forsberg, currently 7th in the overall standings. Very fast driver. The only reason why he's not scored higher is just because he hasn't been able to make the last couple of races. So definitely exciting to have him back on the track. Might have some competition for our top three, Andrew Ward, and Daniel Wright, and Tommy Kogan. Definitely had an exciting week with those three at, where were we last week? We were at Monza last week. Was definitely fun to watch them out. Daniel Wright and Tommy Kogan got a lot of screen time. But I have a feeling that Fred Forsberg is going to be out in the mix. He is currently 2 corners away from finishing his hot lap, and we are going to have a whole lot of them come in quick succession here. And I am going to do my best to try and click through them all, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off. But we've got Fred Forsberg getting ready to cross the start-finish line. He is going to be followed closely by the number 55 car of Tommy Kogan. Fred Forsberg comes in with a 128.3. Tommy Kogan comes in with a 129.0, followed by... Oh, they're all coming in right now. Oh, my God. Okay, give me a second, folks. All right, so we've got Fred Forsberg 1 with a 128.3. Tommy Kogan 2, 129.3. Andrew Warden with a 129.5, but those two just got knocked down because Anthony Jones, the one with no tire pressure, sets a 129 dead. 7/10 away from Fred Forsberg, but with some tire pressures, that might be enough to move him up. Eric Mahoney's time is still standing nice and strong in 6th place with some pros placing behind him, but Waffle Smacks coming in 5th place with a 129.7, followed by Craig Bray in 7th behind Eric Mahoney with a 129.8, Daniel Wright with a 130.1, and Kieran Fox with a 130.2. And the next lap begins. Let's take a look over at Anthony Jones right now. Currently a half second up on the previous lap. Andrew Warden actually is also a second up on the previous lap time. We'll see what he's able to pull off with that. Let's see where he is on the track, actually. Andrew Warden's out ahead a little bit, so we're going to keep an eye on him. We'll pan back over to Anthony Jones if the delta continues to shrink, which it actually is doing across the board right now. Daniel Wright, a 2nd and 2/10 up on his previous best lap. He's a little further back in the lap on the track, so we'll take a look at him here in just a little bit. But I do want to see what Warden pulls off here. Ooh, we got a McLaren off to the outside there. Let's see, Andrew Warden a second up on the lap. He is going to come across, putting himself in 2nd place, dethroning Anthony Jones, and putting himself in with a 128.53. Anthony Jones is going to have something to say about that here in just a moment, as he does go faster than Warden by just a 10th at a 128.467, and we have some action already, folks. Oh, and Anthony seems to have lost track of where the track was. Let's hope that doesn't happen during the race, but he's going to put it back into the pits, and I'm sure fix some tire pressures. Let's take a look at Tommy Kogan over here. Currently a 10th up on his Delta. And I don't see where Daniel Wright went. He must have invalidated somewhere, because that second lap would have moved him up quite a bit in the standings and has not done so yet. But we're going to keep an eye on the standings. Lots of lap times coming in right now. All of them very quick, I might add. But Fred Forsberg right now currently sitting on pole with a 128.3. I'm liking the Skittle green car. It's a good look. It's a good look. Hey, let's hop out of Helicam. They've gotten their money's worth. The Skittle green car. Let's see. Who is the Skittle green car? I should probably know that. Ooh, Arsavedra comes in and sets a time of a 129.3, and we're going to be probably watching a lot of this Bentley, because everybody's going to be mad at it because it can basically cheat the curbs like it's a GT4 car. And there are a couple of chicanes where that really is going to pay off in droves for him. We're going to take a look at Craig Bray over here in the Hans Bros Honda. Right now, a half second up on the previous best lap. That is going to be enough to move him up a position, maybe 2. So we'll see what he's able to pull up out, and he goes around the last 2 corners, actually improves on the time a little bit. We'll see what it looks like when he crosses the start-finish line, and Kriegs moves up 2 positions into 5th place with a 129.07. Another improvement out of Kieran Fox, moving Eric Mahoney down a couple of positions. I saw the Skittle green car too, and I don't know where it went, but we will find it. Tommy Kogan starting an outlap right now. Oh, it was Daniel Wright. He must have changed his color. He was driving a dark blue car last week. That's why I didn't recognize it. Okay, never mind. Daniel Wright right now, currently half second up on the previous best lap with a 132.1. And we've seen the Delta do a little bit better than that in the sector times. Yeah, right there in that chicane alone, he picks up another 3/10 on the lap time. So we're going to watch him charge around this track here for just a little bit. Saw a lot of McLarens today at that other race. We were at Korea International Raceway, I believe. And it was a split class race between LMP2 and GT3 cars over an R Factor 2. That was an experience. But a lot of great driving, a lot of people in the McLaren 720S that Daniel Wright is driving right now. Another rough lap for him, is not going to post an improvement this time around, and he maybe has 2 more laps to do so. So let's hope for the best here. Right now, his best invalid lap was a 130.1, which would move him up into 9th place. Right now, Arsavedra is the only one who is on an time improvement right now. Currently 7/10 up on the Delta. And he's got just 2 more corners to go. We'll see how that Bentley manages to hang on to it. Still don't know how he's driving sitting on the wrong side of the car, but he's doing it just fine. And the Boatley is making its final charge down the pit straight with a 6/10 improvement. That is going to be a 3-4 position improvement, putting a 128.6 on the board, moving him up into 4th place. We're going to take a look at Daniel Wright again. Right now, a 2.5 up on the Delta, which would be a pretty significant improvement in the standings for him, and I'm sure he knows that. So let's see if he's able to keep it on the pavement. Still hanging on to that, a 2.5 up on the Delta. And McLaren's going to charge down into the last 2 corners of the track. Cuts the corner nicely and needs to get a good run out onto the pit straight, and he is going to have it, as he is currently shaving more and more time off that time. Let's see what he puts in. Daniel Wright, now our 2nd place in the podium with a 128.4. And with only a couple of seconds to spare, but he had all the time he needed, because he got that lap in and got it in valid with a blazing time, putting him just 3/100ths ahead of Anthony Jones, who is now in 3rd place. Let's see, as Anthony is leaving the track again. Okay. How about Daniel Wright? Well, we've been watching Daniel Wright for a little bit. Who else is out on a hot lap? I think Waffle Smacks is. Let's take a look at Waffle Smacks. Just entered Sector 3 of the track. It's going to come into a heavy braking zone into a hairpin corner right. Weird little kink in the road. Oh, I love... Okay. The cameras, the auto cameras in this game can sometimes be frustrating because they switch way too quick. But this track in particular, I think, has the best broadcast cameras. They have nice long panning shots, and it's going to be awesome when there's 21 cars out there. All right, and that is going to be the checkered flag waved for Waffle Smacks. Couple of folks still out on the track. Number 73 car, Daniel Wright, is going to try and get a couple more tenths off the lap, followed by the number 55 car. Let's see what they're able to do here. Across the start-finish line, no improvement. Actually, no, slight improvement. I beg your pardon. Manages to shave another 5/100ths of a second off of the lap time. And car number 55, if I can find them over here, Tommy Kogan, crosses the start-finish line and posts a small improvement. Sets a 128.797. All right, folks. Now we get to the fun part. We are going to get lined up on the start grid and begin our pace lap. But one thing I want to point out here that is astounding and why I love driving and commentating for this league. The top 8 cars, all within a second of one another. That is bananas. But we are going to line up on the start-finish grid here. I'm just going to leave it on the screen because the last time I tried to skip through it, I got stuck. So we're going to leave that right there, and we're going to talk about some standings. I don't have this prepared to come up on stream, so I apologize. You're going to take my word for it. But let's take a look at the AM split here. So we've got Eric Mahoney out in front of it. Has not been present for very many races. So this is going to be his first showing in about 6 races. So we'll see some points on the board there. But I'm sure that's going to be a breath of relief for some of the faster drivers because he is blindingly quick over here. Roadside Cookie is going to be our next amateur in line. Currently our first place overall in the amateur split. Took second at Monza yesterday, and it was a hard-fought battle for him, but he is sitting first in the points and is second in the lineup of amateur cars. And then we've got Tim Wilkins right behind him on the grid. Currently third place in the amateur split and third place in amateur qualifying as well. And that is about where the congruency ends, because after that, it's really kind of all over the place. We've got a lot of people who have won some and a couple of people who have just not been present. But the amateur split was relatively close in qualifying time, so that should be exciting. But let's take a second to talk about the pro split. We got Andrew Warden leading off up in first place, has only taken second in one race. We'll see if Fred Forsberg is able to snag another one from him. And honestly, Daniel Wright and Anthony Jones also putting in some very competitive times, certainly going to make Andrew Warden sweat a little bit, and we are all going to be excited to see that happen because it doesn't happen very often. But that is our first four cars. Ar Saavedra in the Boatley is going to be in 5th, Tommy Kogan in 6th, Craig Bray in 7th, Waffle Smacks in 8th, Kieran Fox in 9th, and Eric Mahoney first place in the amateur in the top 10 on our qualifying grid. But this should be an exciting race. 1 hour at Zolder. It is a lot of laps at Zolder. Not a very long track, this one. So the good news is that we should have battling the whole time. But unfortunately for the drivers, it's probably going to be lap traffic for everybody. So that's going to require some extra caution from all of them. But if Monza is anything to base what their driving standard is going to be like today, I expect the best. Because they managed to keep it clean for a remarkably long time, aside from one very unfortunate incident at the very beginning of the race, which was not fun to watch in real time. Alexis, if you're watching, I love you, buddy. Wish you were here. But that is going to be it for the pre-race chatter. We've got 10 seconds until the cars begin their pace lap, and I'm going to take that opportunity to drink a little bit of water because I have a feeling I'm going to be shouting for the next hour. Chat, how you doing? How's your Saturday going? How's the weather where you at? All right, let's get us off this stream. Or this screen, excuse me. There we go. And we're going to keep an eye on Mr. Fred Forsberg here. Hot 102. Oh yeah, you're living in Texas where you get actual heat. I was down in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago on business, and that was the first time that I truly experienced heat that made me miserable. That sucked. And they say, oh, well, it's a dry heat. It's not as bad as when it's muggy. No. Anything over 100 is misery. I don't care how humid it is. And if you try to tell me that dry heat is better than humid heat, you're just objectively wrong. It's all bad. But Lone Star State, I tip my Stetson and cowboy boots to you, sir. You know what? We're gonna make sure our helicams are getting used, so we can make sure that we're getting our money's worth here. Oh, it'd be great if they didn't fly behind the trees. Let's take a look a little bit farther back in the grid here. That was bad timing for that. Get Eric Mahoney. We actually, like I said, we've got both of the Yoshi Autosport GTRs today, so we got 2 Nissans out on the field. Definitely good to see that they are both back. We've got Roadside Cookie not far away in the Rexus. I stopped watching The Expanse to watch this. It better be good. Well, it's Zolder. We got a very competitive field. Top 9 all within 1 second of each other's qualifying paces, so it should be pretty close, at least for the majority of it. And it's Zolder. It's a short circuit. It is almost certain that we will have some action here, but we should start seeing these cars start lining up double file here. Yep, sure enough. We've got Fred Forsberg starting up the double file rank here with just a couple of corners to go. Before we get too much farther into this, I do want to thank, again, Grid Finder for making us an official partnered league on their site. Start your sim racing career today by going to gridfinder.com. Find yourself a league. Start driving some more. Everybody needs more, ourselves included. But that's going to be it from me. Before we wave this green flag, I want to say thank you for joining us. Let's keep our fingers crossed for an exciting race. I am sure looking forward to one, and we should see the green flag here any second. And there is the green light, and Fred Forsberg is going to start Death Charge down the front, straight down into the first corner. He's got a weird line on the inside to try to take it through, but the cars are going to keep it nice and clean. Oh no! And there's contact right away between Anthony Jones and Daniel Wright, and Fred Forsberg picks up a drive-through. What is going on? What is going on? Anthony Jones can't find a way back onto the track. Fred Forsberg running away with it, but I don't know if that's going to matter because he's got a drive-through to serve right at the beginning of the race. So we're going to pan back to Daniel Wright while he pulls away, and we've got Daniel Wright being chased down by, that is going to be, I believe that's Andrew Warden. It's got to be, yeah, because Jones isn't there, and the splits aren't updating because Assetto Corsa. All right, okay, Fred Forsberg taking the chicane. All right, we're going to click through the cars here because I want to see what the field does as they go through there. Nice and congested going through that chicane, but we got one car sideways in the background, but most of them managed to make it through single file just fine. We're going to go ahead and head back over to Daniel Wright going through the second series of chicanes here. Everybody keeping it nice and tidy. Ooh, we see a little bit of almost too wide action there. Somebody at BMW almost gets rear-ended by the Grid Finder Works Ferrari there from Joshua Kimball, but they managed to keep it nice and separated there. Fred Forsberg still managing his charge alone up there in front. Daniel Wright right now got Andrew Warden behind him. Coming around that tight hairpin are going to go into the next series of corners, and that is already going to be lap 1, folks. It's already happened, but Fred Forsberg getting ready. He is going to dive right into the pits and serve that drive-through right away. Good call. That is going to set him back a little bit, but like we saw, he's got a pretty quick pace in when he's out by himself, and he will have clean air to come back into to start his charge up to the front. Common Cold starting from the pits, which is interesting. Hopefully he makes his way out here. And that is lap 1 done. Daniel Wright now P1, Andrew Warden 2, Tommy Cogan 3. And where did Anthony Jones go? Jones is an 18th. Okay, he's got some driving to do, but that is right now our top 3. We've got Daniel Wright 1, Andrew Warden 2, Tommy Cogan 3, and Arsavedra trying to track them down in that Bentley back there. Fred Forsberg just now leaving the pits, it looks like. Yep, he is now back out onto the track, has some work to do to catch up to the pack. We'll see him shortly, I'm sure. And we're going to keep an eye on our front 3 right now. Actually, we've got quite the train in the back here. Let's take a look at Timmy Wilkins. You can see the lineup of cars, not behind him specifically, but the next pack there. So let's hop 3 more cars behind. That is going to be right there with Fig Newton. We're going to ride with him for a little bit because he has quite the train behind him. And we might see some action here. Race leaders out there in front doing their thing, but I want to watch this little bit of action through these series of chicanes, see what Anthony Jones does here. Is going to just keep it nice and polite. Filters through, gets a little bit of a corner cut there, but he's going to try something on the outside. Does not have the room to make it work. Can't get the traction down. He's going to have to filter back in. He still is not taking the inside line. Keeps the track, or keeps himself right in the middle of the track, keeping E. Gottsacker out there, not able to pass, but we're going to come into a heavy braking zone right here. Anthony Jones just inches away from the bumper of that car, not able to make the pass happen here, and it's really a tough track to pass on. That's, I mean, if one... This is not a good track to be worrying about passing back markers there. Looks up the outside right there. He's going to have the inside line. Gets on the brakes late, but it is not enough. Cuts the track a little bit there. Let's see if he has the run going out here to try and make something happen. He does not. He's going to filter right back in behind that Audi, but that's straight line speed of the Ferrari is going to be difficult to beat. He is drag racing him, gets squeezed on the inside, and he is going to look at that inside line and gets it stuck down, but just not fast enough to make it happen. But the Audi goes wide out into the dirt, and that is going to allow Anthony Jones to make the pass. As well as Joshua Kimball now chasing down Anthony Jones, and those 2 Ferraris are going to rip-roar their way back around the track, and the Audi now has some work to do. Let's take a look over at Daniel Wright right now. There we go. The camera's finally caught up. And right now he's got himself a nice, healthy gap to those 2 cars behind him, being Andrew Warden and Tommy Cogan. And they are I believe they're teammates. I said that last race, and I never actually verified. Hanbro. Yeah, they are teammates. All right. I know what I'm talking about. But those 3 are going to be charging around the track. It looks like they are building a little bit of gap to Arsavedra behind, whether that's on purpose or not for Arsavedra. Time will tell, but not a bad place to be. He's got plenty of space to any cars behind him, and he's not in imminent danger of running into the cars in front of him, so he can just focus on keeping his car going the right way around the track. But let's take a look around for some closer battles right now. We've got Kieran Fox in a drag race with Art Roadside Cookie and the Rexus. They're going to go too wide through that corner. The Rexus on the outside line, but he's going to have the inside on the exit here, and he's able to keep it stuck down, but the McLaren has the downforce to get him around that corner on the outside line, and now he is much farther ahead of Roadside Cookie. Now Roadside Cookie has one of the Nissans that's going to try and challenge him through turn 1, cuts him off, and now they're going to filter through there one by one. Eric Mahoney is going to be wanting to get around him there, but let's take a look here. Look at that black and gold Apollo Racing Club Rexus. The mod staff showing up in force with the classy liveries. And we are already, 3 laps into the race and nothing but action so far. Let's check in with Fred Forsberg. Let's see how he's doing right now. He is now just catching up to the back of the pack, and then he is going to have some traffic to get around. So we're going to, let's see, what was his lap time? He did a 129.5. Right now, the Daniel Wright out in first did a 129.0. Andrew Warden did a 129.5. So he has got top 3 pace for sure. The question is, will he be able to get around traffic in the hour that he has to try and catch up and earn those points for himself? But he's got a little bit of a train to deal with here. Let's see how he does. Coming into the chicane, hard on the brakes. Ooh, almost outbrakes himself into the back of who was that? Yeah, that would be Joshua Kimball there. Has to kind of take the outside line on the gravel there to avoid any collisions, but gets his way back over onto the track. He's going to keep pushing. We got another close battle unfolding right around Waffle Smacks, it looks like. Yeah, between him and Craig Bray. Craig just got passed by Waffle Smacks in the Yoshi Autosport Nissan GTR, and now a battle is going to rage on between these two. Two very different cars, one mid-engined and weird, and the other one front-engined and weird. That's the Honda and the Nissan in order. And we're going to see what they do as we watch them run around the track. We got a yellow flag, the number 40 car back at, that's going to be a Fig Newton. Okay. Don't know what happened there. Doesn't look like there was any accidents. Looking at the incident highlights, no accidents, no contact with their cars. May have just run a little bit wide there. Let's take a look up here. Andrew Warden is still being chased down by his teammate Tommy Kogan, not giving him any room to breathe. And these two almost certainly going to be competing with one another, despite the fact that they're teammates. They're both fast and they're both competitive. Let's hope that they didn't read from the Ferrari handbook of teamwork and they actually managed to keep both of their cars going around for the entire race. But we'll see how that continues. Let's see, who else is Jeff Fleischman. Got a little bit of action going on behind him. Got a bit of a train forming around him. A couple of cars that are just not able to go around that Audi. Audi is going to be really quick in most of the mid-speed corners, really only going to struggle in the chicanes where there are big curbs. And we can see actually he's already sustained a little bit of damage to the front of that car. The paint's a little scraped up. That Porsche just ignoring the chicane altogether. And on they go. And let's just watch these cars for a little bit. While I'm taking a drink of water, I should say. And actually, I'm going to pan over to Anthony Jones right now, because I see him pulling off some nonsense here. Yep, there we go. He is now racing down Timmy Wilkins in the McLaren out in front. And this is where it's going to get heated here, because the McLaren is pretty effective at holding off that Ferrari as long as he's able to prevent that Ferrari from taking advantage of its straight line advantage. And there are only a couple of places where it's going to be able to do that. But Timmy Wilkins is going to run wide off the track, making that pass easy for the Ferrari. And now Anthony Jones is going to be setting his sight on Ice Tin, who is the next car for him to tackle in this challenge. But we're going to keep an eye on Timmy Wilkins there, because he has a BMW behind him that looks like he wants his position. Ooh, actually, we got some more action going on right now. Let's see. Jeff Fleischman just gets passed. There's so much going on. I can't get around to it in time, but that is actually Fred Forsberg making his way up into P14, was in P20 just a lap and a half ago, making short work of some of these slower cars. There is a reason why he's in the pro split and one of the most feared drivers out here. And right now he is demonstrating exactly why that is. Let's look around for the next closest gap. Right now, it is actually going to be Jeff Fleischman. We're going to hang out with him with that Apollo Racing Club Porsche behind him of Alan Zoe. We're going to watch these two race here for a little bit, because it is very close. Just 0.4 of a second between these two cars right now. That is the tightest gap on the field. And let's see how they handle these heavy braking zones. That Porsche could not be more opposite from that Audi. Audi is nice and stable until it isn't. The Porsche just likes to kill you. That engine in the wrong side of the car definitely makes driving that car kind of weird, but it does like to rotate. And at a track like Zolder, that does give it an advantage. And wow, that Audi has seen better days. Not sure what happened there, but it is properly scraped up. Not sure if that's affecting pace or downforce, but Jeff Fleischman driving it like that damage isn't even there. But that Porsche right in his rear view mirror, he is not going to be able to ignore that for very long. Oop, that's the wrong camera. There we go. That's the angle we were going for. And look at that Porsche right on his rear wing. And they're going to charge down into the chicane. And let's see what happens under braking. He's looking up the inside. He's looking up the inside. Is he going to be able to get the late brake to make it happen? It does not look like it. They're going to filter in through one at a time and continue this race coming up the hill and into the second chicane. Ooh, Alan Zhu getting impatient, hitting Jeff Fleischman with the blinkers. They're hard onto the brakes, and they're going to feed it through. Oh, and they get very, very close to touching right there, but Jeff Fleischman able to keep the Audi out in front without getting tagged by that Porsche behind, and the Porsche behind is going to lose a little bit of ground because they were late on the gas getting that close. Just unfortunate timing for that Porsche, but Jeff Fleischman growing a little bit of a gap so he can maybe get a second to breathe here, but that Porsche is going to keep tracking him down. All right, we're going to look up the field a little bit here to Timmy Wilkins right now. Has Alex Alfonso and Brandon Gobes tracking him down. We've got a McLaren, a BMW, and a Audi. An Audi. I can English. And right now it looks like it's going to be mostly between that BMW and that McLaren out in front. That BMW's got a lot of straight line speed, but it does not have the maneuverability that the Ferrari has. This is definitely going to be a difficult track for that BMW. We'll see what Alfonso is able to do with it. But he is definitely staying competitive with that McLaren, staying right on that rear bumper, taking advantage of the draft coming down the straight, which is where he's going to have the advantage. It's just not a long enough straight to make anything happen. They go hard into the brakes into the chicane. They're taking a knife-safe line around there, which is good but disappointing because I want to see cars upside down, but they filter through there one at a time, and they're going to go into the second chicane. Let's see if anything happens there. It looks like the BMW wanted to look up the inside but thought better of it, and they're now going to make their way down the long sweeping right-hand corner here. The BMW getting a little bit wide there and is going to have to lift off the throttle to not lose the car, and that is going to give the McLaren a second to breathe. Speaking of people who have a second to breathe, we've got Kieran Fox, who does not have one of those, has Roadside Cookie right on his rear wing, trying to take that position of seventh place away from Kieran Fox as they cross the start-finish line to start their 8th lap of this race. Alexis takes a little bit of a wide line there, but that's going to give him a good run coming up into this next braking zone as they go around this corner. Lexus staying nice and composed, both cars keeping it nice and safe on the track. And it is going to be a battle of inches between these two as they come into the next long straight here, where I believe the McLaren has the advantage here depending on setup, but let's see what happens. The Lexus does have the draft coming down, but he is not going to be close enough, I think, to attempt anything coming into this chicane. And sure enough, the McLaren's going to go through there by itself. And it looks like for just a little bit, that race is going to hold off. So we're going to pan over to Eric Mahoney in the Yoshi Autosport at almost exactly the right time as he's now getting passed by Anthony Jones on the outside of this corner. They're going to come into the second chicane. And let's see what happens with it. Or not the chicane, excuse me. No, it is the chicane. I know where we're at on the track. Anthony takes a little bit of the inside line there, but the Nissan just in the right place to where he's not able to get on the gas early enough to get around him. He looks at the outside there, really wants to get around him, but just cannot find the room to do it. Looking up the inside now. Is he going to go for it? Oh, that Nissan perfectly positioning himself, forcing the Ferrari onto the marbles, but he's able to get onto the brakes in time, and he's able to make the pass happen on the inside despite having a compromised line there. The Ferrari of Anthony Jones is able to make his way around, and now it looks like Ice Tin wants to join in on the the passes here, but is not going to make it happen. That Yoshi Autosport Nissan getting in the way there just in time before the McLaren had the ability to pass. Anthony Jones is going to be now making his way up to the next Nissan of Waffle Smacks, Eric Mahoney's teammate, and we'll see what he has to say about it when that Ferrari catches up to him. But we're going to go ahead and pan back over to, if I can find where my mouse is. I don't think I can. Where did you go? There it is, I think. Did I just lose? Wow, this is fun. Pardon me, folks. My mouse is just straight up gone. Well, that's fun. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that, folks. A little bit of technical difficulty there. Still on board with Eric Mahoney. Has Ice Tin right behind him. Haven't seen Ice Tin in a little bit. Definitely good to see his face back out on the track. But looking around for close, tight battles right now. Let's see what's going on here. Looking at the track map. Let's take a look at the number 7 car. Brandon Gobes got a little bit of competition forming up behind him. It is going to be a battle for 12th place here with Fred Forsberg chasing him down, so we might see some passing action happen here. We'll see how long Brandon Gobes is able to hold him off. And as Fred makes his way up the grid, these passes are only going to get more and more difficult as he gets up to faster and faster cars. He's going to have to try harder and harder to get around these. Right now sitting in P12 after essentially starting in last place with that drive-through. And let's see what he is able to do. Fred Forsberg very fast in that Ferrari, but excuse me, I had the hiccups. Brandon Gobes no slouch in that Audi. I've got terrible hiccups. Excuse me, folks. All right. Coming around turn 2, looks like right now, Audi gets a little bit wide. Fred Forsberg takes the inside line there, sees if he can get around him and try and maybe force a drag race coming down into the first chicane. It does not look like it's going to happen this time, but he does have the draft and the straight line advantage of that Ferrari to get right on the rear bumper of Brandon Gobes and potentially try something coming into this second chicane. Hard under the brakes, and it looks like Fred Forsberg brakes later and is able to get the car through. Audi gets a little bit loose there, bouncing over that second curb, but that is going to be a successful pass for Fred Forsberg as they come over to the hill, down into the second chicane, and we're going to see if anything else happens right now. He's got Timmy Wilkins right there on the rear bumper now after Fred Forsberg. Now he has to deal with Timmy Wilkins and Alfonso in that BMW, and Brandon Gobes not getting even a second to breathe here. Let's watch this continuing battle between Kieran Fox and Roadside Cookie in the Rexus here. And they've kept this fight going on for quite a while now. I believe they're now about 6 laps behind one another. Exactly this order. And Roadside Cookie definitely has got to be getting impatient, or at least starting to feel it a little bit. He's got to start putting some pressure onto Kieran Fox out in that McLaren out in front and see if he can force a mistake, because right now it looks like these two have exactly the same pace. A little bit of a gap forming between the two of them. That McLaren definitely got that chicane right, and it shows because now he has a little bit of breathing room coming into the second chicane. We'll see how long it takes for Roadside Cookie to reel him back in, as he has been doing. But for right now, I think they are going to stay in that order for a little bit. So let's look elsewhere on the track for a battle unfolding. And it looks like we've got Eric Mahoney and Ice Tin duking it out right now. A lot of 2-car races going on. That Yoshi Autosport Nissan, both of them doing an excellent job right now driving defensively. We were talking earlier about Waffle Smacks having to deal with Anthony Jones. He is still out in front of Anthony Jones. Anthony Jones just a 2 3/10 behind. We'll see if that number continues to get smaller, but for right now, Waffle Smacks doesn't have very much to worry about. But something that Roadside Cookie needs to worry about, we're going to pan back over to that battle, is the fact that he now has Waffle Smacks right behind him. He has caught up to the pack of Kieran Fox and Roadside Cookie, which means that Anthony Jones is going to be joining the fray here pretty soon. We're going to keep an eye on this pack because there is certainly going to be some action here in just a little bit. We're going to watch these two go through these next couple of corners and see what happens here. Update on our race leader, Daniel Wright, not too terribly far away from Andrew Warden, who's chasing him down in the Honda right now, a gap of looks like 4.5, 5 seconds. So Daniel Wright doing a good job of keeping himself out in front, potentially wanting to get that podium finish after just barely getting snuck out in at Monza last week. But this battle is going to rage on. We've got Roadside Cookie trying to chase down Kieran Fox, and behind the two of them, Waffle Smacks with Anthony Jones, giving what's up in Waffle Smacks to think about. And as you can see, Zolder, just not a lot of opportunities to pass unless you either just get the corner way better than the guy in front of you or a mistake is made. because we are going to watch these 4 cars filter through single file like this for a little while. I thought maybe it would heat up a bit more. We're going to hang out with them for just a couple corners more before we take a look elsewhere on the track, because there are battles to be seen everywhere. Got a question from the chat. How is Anthony in 9th? Anthony is in 9th because he got involved in contact in turn 1 and had to wait a little while before getting back out on track, and he is currently charging his way back out. Another one that happened to was Fred Forsberg. Early contact in the lap. Actually, no, Fred got away from it, but he picked up a drive-through right as the green lights lit and had to serve that right away. So Fred Forsberg back in 12th after qualifying in 1st, and Anthony Jones in 9th after qualifying, I believe, in 2nd. But that is the 40-minute mark, and I know that because the pit window is open. So there is a mandatory pit stop. That's why there's a yellow or orange, depending on who you ask. Number 1 next to all of the car numbers. That means they have 1 pit stop to serve. They are required to change their tires, and they have 19 minutes to serve it. If you don't serve it during this 20-minute period, you pick up a pretty lofty penalty that you don't want to deal with. So pit strategy definitely going to be important here. It is a short enough race that, or a short enough track that pit strategy absolutely plays into it. Anthony Jones diving into the pits almost immediately, just decides that getting stuck behind slower traffic is not worth it to him. So he's going to dive into the pits, get his tires swapped out, and get out there and start hot lapping, hopefully in some cleaner air. And we'll see what that means once we get all of our pit stops figured out. Alfonso also taking an early pit stop is just now getting back out onto the track here. We're just going to hang out with we're going to hang out here with Roadside Cookie and the Rexus. Still has Waffle Smacks chasing him down. A little bit of a gap is formed to the car out in front, the McLaren of Kieran Fox, which has got to be a sigh of relief for Kieran, but no such relief for Roadside Cookie now, as he has Waffle Smacks trying to chase him down in that Nissan. And the Nissan is a good car here. It's anything front engine can eat those curves, and that is a massive advantage to have here at Zolder. Anthony in the chat, now I can get my pressures right. The man's been driving with no air in his tires this whole time. Oh, we got a yellow flag out of the second chicane. 999 car of Alex Afonso. Is that, where are they? The camera doesn't know what to make. Where, what? Oh, they were in the wall. Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. Can we get a better angle of that? No. Give me the front of the car. Front of the car camera. Here we go. Oh, that looked way worse than I thought it was. Okay. But yeah, definitely some front end damage there. Let's hope that that doesn't affect the Aero too much, because they just served their mandatory pit stop. It would be a shame for them to have to serve a second one. And I'm sure that's what they're thinking. Let's see what he does here. He takes the corner, so he is going to stay out there and continue to race. Love to see it. Right now, let's take a look at Tommy Cogan's got some company. And that is actually, that's not company for position's sake. That is Anthony Jones now, who has gotten back on the track after his pit stop. So he has technically lapped traffic at this point. Although I don't think he would be blue flagged. No, he would be blue flagged. Wouldn't he? Yeah, they're waving it. Well, either way. But I saw the split because I was like, ooh, Tommy's got somebody behind him. Anthony Jones diving left and right, trying to find a way around that Audi, and does find it. Let me, let's keep an eye on him there. Yeah, it does make his way around. We only got to see a little bit of it out of the corner of that camera shot, but he does make his way around the Audi of Fig Newton. And makes up another position. Now he's going to be tracking down Tommy Cogan. The very interesting thing here to watch is going to be where he stays on the track, because eventually Tommy Cogan, Daniel Wright, and Andrew Warden all have a pit stop to serve that Anthony has already gotten out of the way and presumably already has his pressures, or now has his pressures correct. But let's look around the track. We got Timmy Wilkins right now, has some company behind him as well. We've got the number 25 Audi of Jeff Fleischman coming up the rear there. And is going to be giving him something to think about here. Let's see, who is that out in front of? That is Brandon Gobes in the other Audi on the track. I believe the two of them are teammates. Let's take a look. MJ Motorsport. And no, they are not teammates, but they're the two Audis out on track right now. coming through the final set of corners here. Let's see. So far, one other car to serve their pit stop is going to be the Yoshi Autosport Nissan of Waffle Smacks. Gets it out of the way nice and early. We've got a yellow flag right there. A car stopped just behind there. Who is that in the yellow? That's the 999 car. Was that the BMW of Alex Afonso again? It was. Picks up another yellow flag. Not sure what's going on there, but ooh, that's not what you want to see. Not sure what happened, but Alex Afonso picks up a significant amount of damage to the front of that BMW and is almost certainly going to need to have that fixed. That is unfortunate. Goes for the undercut strategy and picks up damage. Not sure how it happened. Roadside Cookie now in the pits. Excuse me, Roadside Cookie leaving the pits. So we're starting to get some of those pit stops out of the way. 14 minutes left in this pit window. 34 minutes remaining in the race overall. And we have had more action than I can get to with just one set of cameras. But Timmy Wilkins right now trying to chase down Brandon Gobes. We're going to hang out with these two for a little bit. Oh, I did not know there was no game audio. Thank you for letting me know. There, now we should hear engines. That's okay. We weren't missing too much aside from engine noises, but that should be there now. Thank you very much for the heads up. Yeah, it should work now. It works a lot better when I have it turned on. I made the mistake last week's stream. I picked up a pre-roll ad while I was loading up one of the two streams, and that played over the beginning of the VOD. So I muted my desktop audio and then forgot to turn it back on because I am what the industry calls a professional. All right, looking around the track right now, this is, for now, our closest battle. Andrew Warden and Tommy Kogan still duking it out up in the front, but as their teammates, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy come out of that. But the 616 car inserting themselves out into the fray here. So that's Andrew Warden, gets tied up in some traffic leaving the pits, and now has that Grid Finder Works Ferrari behind him. See, does he have anybody in front of him? No, he does not. That is not going to help him get up to Daniel Wright. However, it does put a little bit of a wrench in the work for Tommy Kogan, as now he has lap traffic between him and his teammate that they're going to have to deal with. It's going to be stressful for everybody involved, but this is where the race is going to start to get interesting, is where we have people filtering in and out of the pits and lap traffic starting to, or the faster cars starting to catch up to lap traffic. This is where things get exciting. And actually, let's hop back a couple of cars here. Where is it? Why does that say Brandon Gobes has somebody right on top of him? Oh, it didn't change cameras. Why didn't we do that? There we go. We're going to be watching Jeff Fleischman and Brandon Gobes, the two Audis on the track, duking it out. One of them has a little bit more paint on the front than the other, but it doesn't appear to be affecting the handling of Jeff Fleischman's car here. Fred Forsberg, a little update on our guy who's currently doing a last to first challenge unintentionally, is up in 8th place after starting in 21st. Common Cold, after starting from the pits, is back out on the track. Wasn't paying attention to that. Good to see he started his race. Must have a little bit of an electrical failure out on the starting grid. Okay, got 3 more cars in the pits. We got Eric Mahoney is now leaving the pits to get back out on the track. Ars Vedra is in there, and Timmy Wilkins is also in there, serving their mandatory pit stops. About half the field still has to do so once those two have filtered through. And these two Audis are just going to continue to lap with each other. Neither one of them seems to have the advantage over the other, and that gap is not getting larger or smaller. Let's look around the field and see if we can find any other battles for position here. You know, let's hang out with, let's see, what's Fred Forsberg doing right now? He's got 1 car to pass, that 121 car of Ice 10. We'll check back in with him here in a little bit. looking for other battles for position. But for right now, we'll just watch Fred Forsberg make his way around the track. And there's the halfway call. We've got 10 minutes left in our pit window for these drivers to get in and change their tires. And we have 29 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in this race. Plenty of excitement so far. It is certainly not over. Plenty can happen here at Zolder in the remaining 30 minutes of this race. Who in chat wants to make a guess as to where Fred Forsberg finishes this race? Currently now in 7th place. Still has a pit stop to finish, but qualified in first, got a drive-through at the green light. Do you think he will make his way up into the top 3? Let's see. Say it out in chat. Just a number. What position? He's in 7th now, still has a pit stop to complete. What position does Fred Forsberg finish in? We're going to hop back with Alex Afonso. Had a little bit of traffic there with him. I thought that maybe there was a bit tighter of a pack there. Oh, and he's off the track. Yeah, the damage to the front of that car definitely showing as he's got understeer problems now. We've got Big Bark guessing P5 or 6, so 1 or 2 more improvements remaining for Fred Forsberg. All right, let's get some other guesses in chat. I see some folks out there. Let's have some fun. Right now, Alan Zhu under a little bit of pressure from the McLaren of Daniel Wright. Not a car that you want behind you when he's trying to get around you. Because he is, yeah, bright green, and I'm sure very intimidating to have behind you. So let's get a taste of what Alan's having to deal with here right now as they go into the first chicane. Almost completely avoids the curbing there in the Porsche. Bark, you're gonna have to help me out here as to whether or not the Porsche likes curbs, but I remember it not really. Andrew Wright late on the brakes there, but manages to keep himself from hitting Alan Zhou out in front. And remember, Alan Zhou does not have to yield the position, but he cannot defend and overtake. But you gotta wonder why fight the faster car? Yeah, there we go. There we go. And Daniel Wright is going to have the outside line right there. Alan would be wise to hang on to the brakes a little bit longer than he needs to, and it does look like that is going to be how it shakes out. Daniel Wright's going to continue his race now, and Zoe is as well. And the only reason why I say why the Porsche is surprisingly good at taking curbs. Interesting. All right, Daniel Wright into the pits, our first place driver of the top 3, going to be the first one to serve his mandatory pit stop. Let's see where Andrew Warden is on the track. Looks like he is getting ready to make the same decision. No, he decided, yeah, he's in the pits right now. So he's going to follow Tommy Kogan in as well. Our top 3 all diving into the pits at the same time. It's going to be a battle to see who hits their pit box the best. I am going to come back to them in just a moment because I want to see how they do at timing their pit stops here. And it was Wright in first, followed by Warden and Kogan. We'll see what order they leave in right now. They should all be getting ready to come up on the jacks. Sure enough, we'll hop back over to Craig. Bray just left the pits, does not come out into traffic. He's got clean air, doesn't have any cars to worry about right now, which is going to be good for him. And Fred Forsberg right now still continuing the charge. Right now in 5th is going to stay out on the track, and I think that that is wise if he's got clean air out in front of him. Take advantage of the fact he's got no one slowing him down. And we should start to see these 3 cars make their way back out onto the track momentarily. See who comes off the jacks first. Andrew Warden is going to be the first one off, but he was also the first one in. Daniel Wright is, or actually, excuse me, no, Wright was the first one in. Warden is going to come out behind him. Tommy Kogan, they're going to leave in the same order that they came in, which is good for all 3 of the drivers. Good job knowing where to stop your car, but you never know. Sometimes you have an upset there. Daniel Wright comes out just in front of some traffic, making an easy rejoin for him. Same for Andrew Warden and Tommy Kogan, all able to make their way out onto the track relatively unimpaired, with Tommy Kogan having the worst of it, it looks like. Actually, no, he got out just in front. Never mind. Let's look around for some battles here. Alan Zhou diving into the pits, which is what got me to dive over there because it messes with the timings. Right now we have just one guess in for where Fred Forsberg started this race. So again, did he lose 4 seconds in the pits? Oops. He might have been repairing a minor amount of damage. Who knows? Could have been anything. But we have a, well, it's not a bet. Fred Forsberg dives into the pits. I actually did not expect this. With 5 minutes remaining on the pit window, is going to dive in and swap out those tires. Now the question is, what position does he come out of the pits in? And right now we have one guess in. That is going to be either P5 or P6 from Big Bark. Let's see if anybody else is able to get it closer. Chat, go ahead and put in your guesses there. What position is this Ferrari going to leave the track in? I have a feeling he's not going to like it, though, because that is first, second, and third right now, coming across the start-finish line. Oh, and Andrew Warden's going to have a car rejoining right behind him. That's going to be Alan Zoe, and the Porsche is going to get out right in the middle of that train, which should be good for his position on the track. But we won't know until the sector splits update. Keeping an eye on Andrew Warden here for... Oh, and that was a McLaren sideways. Who was that? I don't know whose McLaren that is, but they are facing the wrong way around. It's not Ice 10. Is it Kieran Fox? No. Which McLaren is it? Oh, it's Timmy Wilkins. We finally get tabbed over as he's making his way back out on the track as Anthony Jones gets around him on the outside there. A little bit of dust left behind, but a clean rejoin there. Love to see it. Anthony Jones manages to keep it from hitting that McLaren and ruin both of their days. Right now, just 2 pit stops remaining to be served of, Egatsacker and Common Cold. It looks like right now Fred Forsberg is, come on camera, not listening to me. Did Fred disconnect? Oh, that's going to be a DNF from Fred Forsberg. I did not see that coming, but he is no longer in the race. Not sure what happened there, but that is going to be where it ends for him. All right, we got 1 pit stop remaining to be served. That's going to be the provisional license Egatsacker. Let's take a look at where they are on the track. They're coming around. Looks like they've gone through both the chicanes. This is going to be turn number 8. Coming around that hairpin has a little bit of a weird kink, and they have the final 2 corners out in front. And they would be wise to dive into the pits on this lap. Let's see what they do here. No, they're going to stay out for another one, which makes me wonder if they know they have a mandatory pit to serve. If anything happens on this next lap, they are going to be cutting it close, getting into the pits. Granted, they're 1 minute and 30 seconds on the lap. They should have time, but the question is, will it get to their pit box in 30 seconds? They are going to be cutting it close, but let's take a look over at Brandon Gobes, who has some car action going on right behind him. He's got the Bentley of Arsavedra right behind him. And he is going to be blue flagged. He is a lap down and has that Bentley charging up behind him. Bentley giving him the blinkers, trying to let him know, hey, you probably should get out of my way because I'm faster than you. And we'll see if that's actually true, because if you're faster, you'll get around. They're making a little bit of a drag race, still hitting him with the blinkers. And he's going to try on the inside. He does have the inside line. It does look like the Audi is going to allow him to pass. Smart move there. Saves you both time because they're not fighting each other. And we've got another prediction. I think you'll see Anthony overtake Saavedra soon in a few laps. Yeah, maybe. Let's see at their position on track. So Saavedra right now coming around turn 1. Yeah, and Anthony Jones not far behind, coming around that corner 1 as well. So that is going to mean a how many seconds? That's only a 1 second gap to those 2 cars. Well, 2 seconds to be more exact. But yeah, I agree. We're going to have a battle between Saavedra and Jones here pretty soon. Jones putting on a pretty remarkable performance after an unfortunate start there. And we've got, okay, we're going to watch this. He's got 30 seconds to get to his pit box. Nah, he's got it. All right. So he timed that perfectly. No commentator's curse for him today. He's lucky. But let's look around the track. Tommy Cogan
Doesn't really have too much going on, but he is on the bumper of Alan Zoe right now. He's going to want to get out of the way there, but he does have the opportunity to potentially slow him down and separate out those two teammates a little bit. The Audi of Jeff Fleischman there running a little bit wide on the exit there, but manages to keep the car from spinning, which is a feat in the Audi. Pit window is going to close. The question is, did Gottsacker get in time? Because that one is still there. I know it doesn't go away until the jacks are dropped, but he did enter pit lane and get his car up on the jacks before time lapsed. So I wonder if the game is going to hand out that penalty anyway. We'll know shortly. But let's take a look at our Saavedra, because Anthony Jones is going to be getting closer and closer. As I say that, Anthony Jones is nowhere to be seen. Anthony. Ah, he got collected behind a car leaving the pits. That's what happened. He's going to try and overtake on the outside. He's going to run onto the curbing, but manages to keep it on the track. Now it is a drag race between these two cars, the Audi and the Ferrari. The Ferrari does have the advantage and gets out clear in front going into the chicane. Takes a nice cut there, hops it right over the curbs, and is going to continue on with his chase of our Saavedra now. That gap a little bit bigger than it used to be, now looking a little bit more like 8 seconds instead of just 2. He's got some work to do, and only 18 minutes remaining in this race for him to do so. We'll see if he's able to make that pass happen. Right now, Daniel Wright still leading out in front with Andrew Warden chasing him down. Only 2 seconds between these two cars, and it's going to be a close one between these two. Andrew Warden is no slouch, but Daniel Wright has had consistently fast pace here and is looking pretty clean as to his involvement with other cars. So we'll see if he's able to hang on to that. And I mentioned, clean involved with other cars, doesn't have damage. He's not getting in, he's not rubbing with other cars. He's not having to deal with trying to overtake people. He's had clean air for the majority of this race, and that is paying off for him because it is keeping a gap between him and Andrew Warden, who we know is remarkably quick. See here, any other battles for position? We've got Fleischman. Okay, nope, Fleischman just got passed by our Saavedra, so that's the splits are going to start getting a little bit wonky here because we've got people passing who aren't necessarily passing for position, but Saavedra has that, and you can see off in the background there, kicking up some dust on the outside there, the Ferrari of Anthony Jones chasing down these two cars. That gap of, what was it? Well, it's a little bit ruined now, but let's see. It would be, who is it behind Saavedra? Or Alan Zoe is behind him. Jeff Fleischman's behind that. What's the gap behind Jeff Fleischman? 2.5 seconds. So Anthony Jones has turned that gap into almost nothing pretty quickly here. Bentley looks at the inside of that Porsche and hangs on to the line. Is he going to have the acceleration to pull ahead? It does not look like he's going to. The Porsche gets away, but that Bentley takes a nice cut over there, and it's going to be a drag race down into the final two corners. The Bentley does get out in front. The Porsche filtering in behind. We'll see how they handle these corners here. Definitely overtaking territory, but it does not look like the Porsche is going to be able to pull it off. The Bentley takes that nearly flawlessly, and our Saavedra makes his charge out into clean air. But Anthony Jones lurking behind him turns an 8-second gap into almost no gap in the course of just a lap and a half. And our Saavedra is going to be thinking about that. Ooh, Joshua Kimball picks up a drive-through for violating track limits a few too many times. That is going to be a drive-through for him. An unfortunate ruling to be handed down for sure. But we are going to hang out with these two here because we got a train of 4 cars here that's about to get very interesting here. You can see the Ferrari in the back getting a little bit impatient, looking up the inside and outside, just looking for any way around these cars so he can track down that Bentley and take his lunch. Got a yellow flag in the first chicane, the number 25 car. Who is that? I can't read. That's Jeff Fleischman, who was just in that pack of cars now. A yellow flag makes his way back down the track, but loses a position there, and that is very good news for Anthony Jones, as now he is the only car behind our Saavedra, and we are about to watch a battle unfold between two of our fastest drivers here at Apollo Racing Club. Joshua Kimball in the pits right now, serving that drive-through right away. Good timing for that ruling to be handed down for him, as he can dive right into the pits and get it out of the way. It's not going to cost him too much time. Looking around the field right now just to keep you updated on any other battles going on right now. There does not appear to be any that are for position. Lots of cars right on top of each other, but it looks like the battles for positions are either spaced out or have cars in between them. Joshua Kimball going to rejoin the track right behind Anthony Jones, it looks like. But Anthony Jones is still going to continue his charge against Arsavedra. Now that 8-second gap down to a 1.5 seconds. And he is just going to get closer and closer. I said it once already, I'm going to say it again, man. The camera angles at Zolder, they are something special. Bentley taking advantage of the fact that it can eat those curbs and sends itself right over there like they're not even there. The Ferrari certainly cannot do that, so that is the advantage he's going to have going through the chicanes. He's going to be able to cut just as well here, but the Ferrari can take a bit more curb in these chicanes. They're not nearly as aggressive on the curbing, but still, that Bentley doing a very good job of keeping itself nice and composed and, more importantly, consistent. That is going to be very important here with that Ferrari chasing him down, because all it's going to take is one mistake for Anthony Jones to try and make an overtake. Gap getting smaller and smaller. Arsavedra only has a little bit longer until he has Anthony Jones on his rear bumper, but Anthony Jones only has 13 minutes remaining in this race to try and make the overtake happen. Looking around, let's look around the field here for just a second. Alan Zoe had a weird split there, but I'm sure that was just lap traffic getting around there. Looking at the track map here, let's see. Actually, hold on, we can do this. I believe inserts the hotkey, right? Right? There we go, okay. Let's see. So Alan Zoe, 16, Jeff Fleischman, 13. They've got Joshua Kimball in between them. So yeah, really no battles for position going on right now, aside from the one that we're watching between Anthony Jones and Saavedra in the Boatley. And this is just getting tighter and tighter. Now we are less than a second between these two cars, and it is about to get interesting. That Ferrari is a very aggressive car, and it is great on the overtakes because of how much power it has, but it can be difficult to control if you ask too much of it. And Arsavedra certainly not going to make this easy for Jones, and he is going to have his work cut out for him. But just as was predicted earlier in the race, that Bentley now has a Ferrari on the back of it, and these two are probably going to be duking it out until the end of the race. Got a yellow flag, car number 40, the Fig Newton, facing the wrong way around on the track and backs up off of the track, presumably just to get out of the way. Is he gonna need it towed to the pits, or is he gonna be able to get out? He was just waiting for an opportunity to make it out cleanly. Fig Newton, you get a honorary pat on the back, but let's go back to the battle between Arsavedra and Anthony Jones here as they go around turns 2 and 3. And just as we thought that Fig Newton got it back out to the track, there is a teleport back to pits, and it is going to be Fig Newton back into the pits, and that may be a DNF there, but we'll see what happens. Anthony Jones looks up the inside, gives the Bentley a little peekaboo there, just reminds him, hey, I'm here and I want to get around you. But these two cars driving very, very well. Both of them putting in remarkably quick times, with Anthony Jones doing a 129.9 and Arsavedra doing a 130.1. They are very similar in pace, with the faster lap being Anthony Jones with a 128.6 best of the race and 129.4 out of Arsavedra. So Anthony does have the faster lap here, but he's going to need to be a lot faster if he's going to get around Saavedra. He's looking up the inside. He might go for the dive bomb. No, filters back in behind the bumper of that Bentley and is going to keep it nice and tame and single file going through these corners and try again later on the track. All right, that's another lap down. 10 minutes remaining here at Zolder, and we are watching the battle to watch right now between these two cars. Anthony Jones, for those who might just be joining us, had an unfortunate incident at the beginning of the race, which put him back very far in the lineup as he had to wait off track for a chance to join safely and has raced his way all the way back up to 5th place. Now, Arsavedra standing in the way of him getting 4th place and potentially being able to chase down Tommy Kogan, although that is going to be a tough sell as Tommy Kogan is quite a bit farther ahead of him, depending on the pace of Anthony Jones, if he can get around Arsavedra here in the Bentley. With less than 10 minutes remaining in this race, may not be enough for a podium finish for Anthony Jones, but we know he is going to try. Coming into the second chicane right now, a little bit of a gap developing between the Ferrari and the Bentley. Anthony Jones down about 0.6 on his previous lap. Not what he needs right now if he's going to get around that Bentley, but he is going to continue to try. Looking around the track right now, not very many other battles for position right now. So we are going to hang out with these two, although we have a bit of a train forming behind Jeff Fleischman. Let's take a peek over there. Let's give him just a second here. There might be a crazy dive bomb or something nuts like that. Nope, they're going to be tame for just a little bit. And we can go look at another car here. Let's look at Jeff Fleischman. Yep, just a couple of cars there behind. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anybody here. Let's look at the number. Yeah, we've got Timmy Wilkins here. Actually, I believe is this for position? Who's that he's got behind him? Yeah, this is for position. So we got Tim Wilkins and Eric Gottsacker chasing each other down here. We've got McLaren Ferrari instead of Bentley Ferrari. And those two are going to be chasing it down. I am watching the map between Anthony Jones and Arsavedra. They are very close to one another, and we might actually see something happen here going into the chicane. They are side by side. It is going to be a drag race down the straight down into the chicane. What is going to happen? Who's going to be on the brakes first? It looks like Anthony Jones brakes first, and the Bentley gets out inside, but the Ferrari has more speed. Oh, and they're going to make contact. They're going to get tagged and take each other out going up the hill. And catastrophe for both of them. Both of those cars sustaining major damage. Anthony Jones out in front. Not sure what happened there. Who hit who, but it is going to be Anthony Jones for Arsavedra 5 with big hits to both of those cars. And we've got another yellow flag. Craig Bray sitting out on track facing the wrong way, along with Joshua Kimball. Oh, we've got a little mod rivalry. Oh, and Kriegs spins the car around and gets it back going the right direction just in time for Timmy Wilkins and Eric Gottsacker to get around him. That timing could not be worse for Craig Bray, as now he is between a race for position and he's the faster car. So he's going to need to make something happen quick, but do I read that correctly? Yeah, Arsavedra is going to put it into the pits to fix whatever damage happened, which is going to allow Anthony Jones to pull away. Perhaps getting less of the damage in comparison. We'll see if that gamble pays off for him. We'll also see what the stewards have to say about that previous incident, but that is going to be the end of that battle. And now Anthony Jones has the task of chasing down Tommy Kogan, who has a sizable gap of 22 seconds to Anthony Jones. Oh, and right there, Anthony Jones picks up a drive-through, a little karmic relief there maybe. Who knows? But he is going to pick up a drive-through, which should put him more or less on pace with Arsavedra, who is still in the pits, actually. That must have been some significant damage. We saw it was a big hit, but I didn't expect him to be in the pits for this long. Still in the race, though. We'll see when he leaves the pit lane and where he puts him out in front or behind Anthony Jones. We'll see. I'm pretty sure it'll be behind, considering he has a much longer time to stay there. Has some damage to fix. Let's take a look at Brandon Gobes. Has a little bit of action developing behind him. He's got one of the two Nissans who are both in front of him, actually. That's going to be the number... Oh, it blurred out right in time for me to not see it. Oh, he's going to let him pass anyway. Doesn't matter. That's the number 17 car of Waffle Smacks. Yeah, and he's going to let him around and let him continue on with the race. Let's look for another battle for position. We're going to go back to Timmy Wilkins and Eric Gottsacker, as right now I believe they are the only battle for position. While I try and figure that out, we are going to watch these two battle it out. Not exactly the closest race, but they do have a chain of car out in front of them, as A. Jones does serve the drive-through, clears it, and is able to make his way back out on the track. Saavedra is just now making his way back out onto the track. That must have been some catastrophic damage to the Bentley, and that would explain why he put it into the pits, just so he can finish the race. And it is going to spit Saavedra out in 12th position, unfortunately. Timmy Wilkins has the McLaren of Ice Tin looking to get around him. Right now, Timmy Wilkins is the slower of the two. It would be wise to let Ice Tin around before they have to battle over the chicane, but it looks like it's going to be a drag race unless he lifts and lets Ice Tin around. He is not going to. They're going to fight it to the nail, but he does, at the last second, decide to filter in behind the other McLaren and keep it nice and clean going through there. And it is once again a battle between Gottsacker and Timmy Wilkins. Gottsacker has some work to do before he is caught up enough to call it a battle. 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this race. Looks like Saavedra had a worse exit off the first chicane and ended up hitting himself on Anthony, but because, you know, we'll let the Discusses channel figure that out. I'm not going to review the replay right now on stream, but I'm sure we will see that get reported considering the consequences of the accident. We'll see what the community thinks about it. 4 minutes left in this race here at Zolder, and it has been action-packed since the very beginning. Right now, we are watching Timmy Wilkins try and hold off Eric Gottsacker for position. Let's see if there are any other battles right now. Let's take a look at Daniel Wright, our race leader for the majority of the race. Has had a simple time holding on to first place. Andrew Warden has been trying to chase him down, but has just been having bad luck with traffic, as well as Daniel Wright just having a remarkably quick pace here during the race. And actually given Andrew Warden a run for his money here. Tommy Kogan falling a little bit behind again because of some difficulty with traffic, but something that needs to be pointed out that I have not paid enough attention to. Roadside Cookie, our amateur leader right now, currently in 5th place, leading the pack of the amateurs with almost no competition. He is going to have Anthony Jones and the, let's see, 188 car, Alan Zoe here in a little bit behind him. There we see that Porsche in the background, and Anthony Jones is going to be coming around that corner in not too long. We'll see if he's able to catch him by the end of the race, but this is looking to be a top 5 finish for our amateur leader, Roadside Cookie in the Rexus. Less than 3 minutes from it. Man, this has gone quick. I don't know if that's sleep deprivation or the energy drink that's making that happen, but this race has gone by quick, and it has been an exciting one. We've had action from start to finish, and I'm trying to look around the track for anything else that might be developing right now. Let's see, that's going to be Jeff Fleischman and Kieran Fox racing it around right now. Jeff Fleischman, the slower two of the cars. I think Kieran Fox just got around him, which is why the split looked so crazy. Those two cars heading down the straight down into the first chicane. Let's see if they behave themselves. It does look like they are going to. Look at Craig Bray out here doing his thing. No cars around him to speak of. We'll go to the number 7 car. Brandon Gobes has a little bit of action developing behind him. That's going to be the McLaren of... It's not Timmy Wilkin. I believe that is Ice Tin there. And it looks like they behave themselves going through the chicane. He might lift going over the hill to allow Ice Tin to get around. And that is exactly what happens. Ice Tin makes his way around nice and safe and sound. Minute and 30 seconds remaining. We're gonna keep an eye on our race leader, Daniel Wright here, as he will have a very good picture as to how much longer this race is going to go. I believe that he is going to be our final lap once he crosses the start-finish line. We maybe have another 2 minutes left in this race. That said, Anthony Jones, right on the bumper of Alan Zoe, though that is not going to be for position. Alan lets him around. Now he begins his charge up to potentially catch Roadside Cookie just a couple corners ahead. Let's pan back over to our race leader, Daniel Wright, as he comes around the final 2 corners here. And potentially starting the final lap of this race. We'll see what the officials do. If the white flag waves, then we know. And there's the call. The leader is on the final lap. Daniel Wright is going to be in first place. Andrew Warden, I believe, 2 seconds behind. Yeah, he's going to be very close and certainly going to be pushing as hard as he can, but Daniel Wright has the advantage of having 2 cars in between him and Andrew Warden. We're going to watch this battle unfold if Andrew Warden is able to make anything happen in this final lap. But Daniel Wright definitely has had a very, very strong race here, never even losing first place. Once he got it, he was able to hold on to it. Andrew Warden is going to try and take it away with just less than a minute remaining here. That's going to be the timer elapsed, but these cars have 1 more lap to finish. Ooh, Andrew Warden manages to overtake one of the 2 cars that was between the 2 of them. Now he has just one of them. He's got the Ferrari of E. Gottsacker between the 2 of them. Gottsacker's smart. He's going to let Andrew Warden by, and that is exactly what happens. Now we've got Andrew Warden. The only thing between him and first place is going to be Daniel Wright as they enter the 3rd sector and the last 3 corners of this track. Does Andrew Warden have enough time? We see there's a pretty sizable gap right there. It's 2 seconds. I do not think it is going to be enough time for Andrew Warden unless something crazy happens here. And it looks like that is going to be a nice, clean couple of corners for Daniel Wright, and that is going to be our race winner. Daniel Wright in the number 73 McLaren brings home first with Andrew Warden just behind in P2. Tommy Cogan is going to cross in P3 just a little bit behind them. And that will be our podium finishers. We got Brandon Gobes crossing in 14th, E. Gottsacker in 15, Timmy Wilkins in 16, Joshua Kimball finishes in 18th position. And this is going to be Tommy Cogan crossing the start-finish line here in 3rd place. That is our pole position here. Let's take a look at Daniel Wright right now, celebrating over in turn 1, doing some donuts. Get your money's worth, Daniel. You had a phenomenal drive. Congratulations on the 1st place finish. Let's look around the track and see if we can't find something else exciting happen. The 188 car, Alan Zoe, has a little bit of action going on around him, and this is probably going to be the last action we have of this race. 3 cars packed on top of one another. I don't think a single one of them for position. But they are going to, they're going to get very close and touch a little bit in that hairpin there. Fortunately, nothing happens of it. Our Saavedra just attracting all of the paint scrapers there. But manages to get around that corner without causing too much drama there. These 3 cars are going to stay in the same order that they are. They're going to finish the race. That is going to be Waffle Smacks out in front there, and the number 17 Nissan going to be finishing in 7th place, followed by our Saavedra finishing in 12th after an unfortunate incident with Anthony Jones, and Alan Zoe in 13th. And it looks like the final car to cross the start-finish line is going to be Ice Tin in the number 121 McLaren. And we've already got some sass going on in the chat there, but that is going to do it for us at Apollo Racing Club. To everybody who's watched from start to finish, thank you very much for joining us. Real quick rundown of our finishing order. We've got Daniel Wright, our race winner, in 1st, Andrew Warden in 2nd, Tommy Cogan in 3rd, Kieran Fox in 4th, and that's going to be as far as I can get because people are leaving now. So that's going to do it for us at Apollo Racing Club. I want to say thank you again to Apollo Racing Club for letting me host this stream. I had a blast, and we also are going to give a thank you out to Grid Finder for making us an official partner league with them. If you guys need to get started or find a grid, go to gridfinder.com and start your racing career today. But that is going to be it for me. My name's Matt. Thank you for watching, and from everybody at Apollo Racing Club, have a fantastic evening.